Bro, it's absolutely fantastic having you back here at the House of Mario. And to celebrate this momentous occasion, I really want to introduce you to a special guest of ours. It's a character from the Super Smash Bros. Series, but to have a bit of a guessing game here, who do you think it might be?
Well, I feel like it could be Kirby because you could lead him here easily with food. It could be Luigi because he's been meaning to fix that bum tap for the last 2 weeks. Or it could be Simon Belmont because I'm scared of what's in that coffin in the basement for the last 3 years.
Yeah, well, it's actually Ike from the Fire Emblem series.
Oh my god.
Oh, let's break in the chant.
We like Ike. We like Ike.
We like Ike. Oh, here he is.
Oh my god, it is Ike from Fire Emblem.
Oh, Bryce, what do you like most about Ike?
I like that he has a strong sense of justice.
You'll get no sympathy from me.
But Ike, why do you do all these things?
I fight for my friends.
Oh my god, that's fantastic. Well, as sure as I am that you are a very, very busy man and we are just wasting your time at this point, it was really great to see you, my friend, and I wish you a good farewell.
Yes, thank you, Ike. It was a great interview. Catch you later.
That was a great conversation.
It really was. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australian Nintendo podcast that is backed by a 120 Power Star rating. I'm your host, Drew Agnew, and the doors to episode 156 are open. This week on the show, we're talking about last week's Indie World presentation, Nintendo VGC rule set changes, and the Nintendo Switch is coming to Brazil. And the talk all about that is my best buddy, it's Bryce DeWitt.
Hello.
Hello, how you going, Bryce?
Hello. How's things?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, how good was it doing an online show last week instead of this nice comfy setting we've got?
It was different.
That we didn't even get to use on week one.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. You know, you didn't want to spread any potential thing you might have had from your kids.
Look, you know, I didn't want to spread germs.
No.
Germs aren't nice.
No, they're not, are they?
No. I think we've learnt that.
We've learned that.
I think we've learnt that as a collective humanity.
In 2020, if we've learned anything, germs aren't good.
No.
Because in 2019, I was like, I was all about germs.
Yeah, you know, spreading them, just like peanut butter on toast.
Yeah.
So beautiful, you know? Yeah. A bit of extra oomph to your day, knowing that for the next 3 to 5 days, you're going to feel like garbage. But no.
There are good germs out there, but, the ones we're thinking about aren't the good germs.
No, yeah, they're bad germs. You know? Yeah, the germs that you don't want in your life.
No.
I don't know why we're ad-libbing this.
No. We just had a fantastic guest on. We had Ike, but it was very quick entry and exit from him, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's obviously a very, what's the word for it? I guess, God, there is a particular word for it. No, for the life of me, I can't remember it. But he's a very quiet, reserved person unless he's screaming. So, you know what? It was good to see him anyway. Jesus. I thought it would be a really, really good thing to just let him go early so he can go and continue fighting for his friends.
You got to fight for your friends.
I mean, look, that's his job, right? If there's one thing he's remembered by, it's for fighting for his friends. That and, yeah, or, something along the lines of that.
Yeah. Fantastic stuff. So I guess just before we start, I want to get into a little bit of housekeeping. So number one is the House of Mario Encore is now out on YouTube and podcast services. And I just want to thank everybody who maybe took their time to listen to episode 1 or leave a review on Apple iTunes. Because of the people that took their time to leave the review, we've actually charted at number 26 on Apple Podcasts in Australia.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And it's actually the House of Mario a Nintendo podcast. This very podcast here, the main show, it was actually charting at number 28. So they're actually right next to each other, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
How long it will stick around, got no idea. But if people keep leaving reviews and everything, it will help it gain traction and find some earlobes.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So just to reiterate on last week, if we hit 50 iTunes reviews within 2 months, I'll give away a Nintendo Switch game through eShop credit or just buying online, sending it to your address, however it's easiest to get to you. We'll do it that way. If we don't hit it, I get to save $80. So win-win.
Beautiful.
No, but it'll be a real fun way to sort of try and give back to at least one person who supports us and what we do. So yeah. Next up, I was a guest on Blowing Cartridges, a podcast with Tamazoid and Zach. They started, was it episode 4? So they've been doing it for about a month, and we talked all about console fanboys for about an hour and a half.
That's a touchy subject, that one.
It is a touchy subject, and it's funny because the three of us, we come from a very Nintendo-centric background. So we very much came from the side of, Nintendo fanboys and, a lot of the PlayStation fanboys in the PS2 days, letting us know that Nintendo wasn't as good. So, all right, calm down.
Yeah.
And like even my emotions, like how Pokemon's better than this and whatever the case was. But thinking about it now, we're all adults. We've all got PlayStation. We've got Xboxes, PCs.
That
Switches.
still doesn't stop people though.
No, it doesn't.
Like
no.
even within our current friend circles, I always see like enmity towards Xbox mostly. Being that we know a lot of PlayStation fans. Yeah,
definitely.
Like, and me growing up as a kid that really liked Xbox, that's like, I have to sort of like hold my tongue because I could get in a lot of arguments.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like, is it worth it?
No,
not really, is it?
It's really not worth it. But
just enjoy your piece of plastic that plays your video games and try and get on with life.
As Nintendo fans, I feel like we're pretty receptive to that at this point, though. Like we're obviously not playing the next big open world powerhouse that uses 700 teraflops of giga boobs. I don't know.
Wow.
Something like that.
Get some of those.
Giga boobs. But we obviously have stuff like Breath of the Wild and stuff like that, which is like technologically impressive from the standpoint of it being on the Switch, but it's not breaking records, right? So it does, sort of call to mind to the fact that we've been putting up with it for years, really.
Yeah,
especially locally.
Yeah,
and not just on the internet.
I talked a bit about it in that episode, but even like tiny things that like really don't matter. I remember talking about Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, and I had Ruby and I had Sapphire, and a few of my friends had Ruby, and we'd be arguing which one of those games is better. There's no difference. There's only like a handful of different Pokemon, but we're still arguing that, Survivor's cooler than Mawile, or Groudon's better than Kyogre, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So I think, especially when you're younger, you'll just fight for whatever you like, and if you don't... And if someone says they like something else, you just take that as a personal attack.
And then when Emerald comes out, you don't give a shit.
You're like, hooray, this is way better than both of them.
Yeah, hooray, now we don't have to argue anymore. Oh.
Yeah, you can catch both legendaries in this game, and they're both level 70 instead of level 45. Oh my god. Life-changing. Yeah, so go and check out that. There's a link in the show notes to Blowing Cartridges, episode 4. Yeah.
Be good.
I think it just went up as we're recording this too. I got a notification on the Twitter from Brendan.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. And another one is I just want to congratulate the guys, a couple of NPCs, Andrew and Alex. Tonight they're celebrating episode 200. And that is a massive milestone, so congratulations to those guys.
Well done, dudes.
Yeah.
We're on our way there.
Yeah.
Get there, though.
We had the pleasure to meet Alex at PAX last year, hang out with him a bit.
Yeah. And get stuck in the Crown KFC.
We're getting to the KFC.
Heaps of drugged up people were at night and starting fights with each other, and we're like just sitting there, we're just trying to eat our chicken wings, bro.
Yeah.
It was fun though. I've still got an Espeon on Go that he gave me.
Yeah. What did I get? I got an Arcanine, which is one of my best Arcanine. Well, it is my best Arcanine. It's got 2 dark attacks. So in Go League, it actually turns out to be really useful because people are expecting, I'm going to put my grass against... Oh, not my grass. I'm going to put my water against Arcanine. He won't have anything attacking with, and I'm just biting him. Yeah. And Dark's actually a pretty good offensive type in Pokemon Go League as well.
Yeah, it is.
Battle League.
Yeah. Because of how quick Bite is.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is definitely a plus. The Espeon I got from him was actually a lucky Pokemon per lucky chance.
Yeah, mine was too.
Yeah, so it was a 4-star Espeon, and yeah, I've used it ever since.
Yeah, he's the one who actually taught me about lucky Pokemon because at that stage I wasn't playing any Pokemon Go, and we got back into it because we went into the city and we were like, well, we may as well start playing it while we actually got some things to do with the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah. That's when I did my first raid.
Yeah, you got your Giratina.
I got my Giratina.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, congratulations to those guys, and go and check out their podcast if you haven't. They've got a lot of energy, and they will definitely bring a smile to your face. Trust me, it's really really good.
And the thumbnails are great.
Yeah, oh my god, Alex is so good at Photoshop. I think just like, even if you're like, I can't possibly fit any more podcasts in, or I don't listen to podcasts, why would you be listening to this if you don't listen to the podcast? But just follow them on Twitter. Their thumbnails are just good entertainment for that alone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it a crack.
Yeah. So I guess let's jump into some games, Bryce. So I've been playing a few things. Ooh.
Oh my
Ooh,
god!
I dropped my piece of paper.
Not your schedule.
No, not my schedule.
Oh my god!
So I've been playing a couple of games, and I just want to bring up the Indie World presentation from last week because a couple of the games are from that. So we'll probably go through a list of the games in the news, but I want to discuss Short Hike. So Short Hike was announced to be coming to Switch last week, and it came out with the presentation. And I'm not going to talk too much on it because I haven't actually got around to playing it yet, but it was a game that I was looking forward to playing on Steam for a long time.
Yeah.
And I had it in my wish list, and it just sort of never happened. And when they announced that it was coming to Switch, I'm like, all right. So I just went and bought it straight away. It was like 10% off, so it's $9 something. I forgot how much I bought it for.
Shit, that's not bad.
But real cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one, which I was been following for a little bit, was the Spiritfarer. And I played it at PAX last year, and I didn't really get a big grasp on exactly what it was, even though I was playing it. Because it sort of just puts you in a town, and you're going around talking to NPCs. I'm like, oh, okay. Don't really know what it is. And getting to play, I actually played it on Xbox through Xbox Game Pass. It's free on there. On Switch, it's about $43. So it's a decent investment. So when I saw that it was free on Xbox, it's kind of a no-brainer to go and play it for that when I'm already subscribed to Games Pass.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I jumped into it. Don't really have any idea what it is, but just the beautiful hand-drawn art style really drew me in. They're some of my favorite games where they're just like really nicely hand-drawn. That's why I love Rayman Legends and Origins so much. But jumping into this game, had no idea what it was, and you play as basically the Spiritfarer. You've taken over the role to basically take spirits and send them on their merry way. And the gameplay is you're on a ship, and it's just completely empty, and you've got sort of nothing to do on it. But then you've got to get spirits onto your ship and sort of make them feel at home by building, whether it's a guest house or gardens and a kitchen and stuff to feed them and make them happy and all of that. And so far I've gotten 2 spirits. One you start off with, it's like a sort of a deer character, and she helps you with the tutorial. You go to certain islands, get materials, and it's all really laid back. I played this game for about 3 hours, probably after work when I got home, like 12 o'clock.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's one of those times where you don't want to jump into something new, but I'm like, well, it's kind of the time I've got, so this is what I'm doing. So I got home, and it's just really relaxing. And at the moment, that's sort of what I need. I've been finding that just with everything that's going on, I'm feeling a bit like scatterbrained. I'm sure I know you know. So probably a lot of listeners out there too are like, oh man, I just need a bit of escapism. And I definitely think Spiritfarer would be great for that. It's really relaxing. You're on your boat, you sort of chart out to different islands, and it's all 2D. So it's not like Wind Waker when you're fighting off enemies and that as you're going. When you're going from island to island, it's just really, really relaxing. You've got like a fishing rod. You can do fishing off the back while you're going forward. And you can also find like treasures and stuff where you if you jump off the boat stops, and you're able to get off the boat and dive for treasure and stuff. It's all just pretty basic. And like with those treasures and wood and all that you gather, you use them to build different rooms and stuff on the boat. So far it's all pretty straightforward. I don't know if I'm still in the tutorial or not, but it's got a real low learning curve where you're just learning each step one by one as you're going on. And it's just a really nice game. I'm not sure, I really don't know whether it's worth the $43 or not. I don't know how long this game is, for example, but I know just me looking at it on the eShop, no idea what it is. I'm like, I'm not paying $43.
Yeah,
that was my first inkling. But the more I play, it's like, well, I think if you're in the mood for this particular type of game where it's just really nice to look at, really nice to listen to, relaxing, you feel like you're building something, you're progressing. And another thing too, the writing is absolutely fantastic. I was going through a village and just hearing all of the different, not hearing, but reading all of the different dialogue. There's some moments where I actually laughed out loud. I was by myself, so I'm allowed to do that. I had no one in. Chantel was actually away, so there was no like, what are you laughing at? Yeah, weird boy. But yeah, just really good writing as well. And all I've only had 2 characters join me so far. The second one was a toad, who is apparently your uncle. Don't know how that works.
Uncle Toad.
Yeah, he's like, oh, yeah, well, pretty much. I assume he sounds like that, but he's just full of energy all the time. He's really funny and enduring. So yeah, just a fantastic game. If you've got a PC or an Xbox and you don't have Game Pass, definitely just chuck the $10 onto it or $16 for the ultimate subscription and download it that way. I think if you just play that for the month, it's worth it. And there's a lot of other indie games that you probably want to play on Switch that are actually on Game Pass as well.
Yeah, that's right. I know that some like Creature in the Well are leaving soon too.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
which sucks. But,
So that's a game I actually bought on Switch, and so I haven't gone to play it on Game Pass, but there's actually I keep forgetting what the name of the game is. I had to look it up, but I've forgotten it again. But it was at a Nintendo Direct or an Indie Direct a fair while ago, maybe at the start of this year, where it was a rhythm game where it was like a rock and roll rhythm game where you're in the car. I forgot the name. It's called Kick Beat Heroes or something. I'm sorry that I've forgotten it, but that's coming to Game Pass later this month as well. So I think that's like a $30 game. So that with Spiritfarer, just the 2 indie games coming to Game Pass, that's way more than my subscription is worth just for the 1 month.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it is cool that I am actually able to play some of the games I'm interested in on the cheap, and I can talk about them on the podcast. The only thing it sort of doesn't allow for is like if it runs poorly on Switch and runs well on Xbox, I won't be able to account for that. Yeah. But we're pretty safe mainly for these
indie titles.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Whereas like, there's a lot of reasons to get Game Pass, to be completely honest. Like, even if you're just buying Game Pass Ultimate alone, if you have an Xbox or a PC, regardless of whether you have one or the other or both of them, it's a pretty genuine good deal for the fact that Microsoft put all their releases on there, and you can play them at any time you please across whatever platform you want, and crossplay.
I love it, man.
It's really good.
I love it so much, and I don't necessarily need Nintendo or Sony to do it, but the fact that Xbox are doing it, it gives me a real good reason to turn on my Xbox, and I'm probably definitely going to be getting the Series X at launch to make use of it, like because I've only got the 1S at the moment.
Yeah, because I feel like every time I talk to you, because I know you're a big PlayStation fan, but every time I talk to you about what have you playing recently, it's usually down to like I've been playing this on Game Pass, and it's usually like an indie game or something like that. And it's just like, oh, that's interesting for you.
It just lets you jump around easy. And even like stuff like Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'd never go and buy that, but I'm very interested in just going to download it
and have a go.
Have a go, yeah.
Which is what's so great about it, and like that's my MO looking forward. I think is that there is a lot of games that honestly I could buy, and I'll end up just wasting my money, and I feel like Game Pass is a good solution to alleviate that.
Yeah,
which is why I've got a lot more confidence in Microsoft coming up forward into this generation, because I had zero confidence leading up into last generation thanks to Mr. Matrick himself. So,
big old D-Matrick.
But now we've got Phil Spencer at the helm at the launch of a new console that is looking to be a very positive thing, and I'm also keen.
Yeah.
But price point is going to be a huge determination on whether I get either of those consoles at launch, to be completely honest.
Yeah, that is an important one, which we're still waiting on.
Yeah.
When that will happen, it will have to be soon, you'll think, but who knows?
I can't remember if it actually got debunked or not, but the controller that was going around, the Series X controller that was going around, sold by somebody on like Craigslist or something, and somebody ended up with a box.
Yeah, no, that is legit. It's basically a white.
That was legit.
Yeah, the new model of the Xbox controller leaked, and in the manual it said it's compatible with X or Series X slash X or slash S. Sorry.
Yeah. So obviously the digital only version and the disc version, which is like similar to what PlayStation are doing. The thing with that, I think, is mainly that. What was that? I'm pretty sure on the box it said it had like a sticker on it that says "Do not sell or open until November 6th."
And I hear there's a few retailers out there that have those boxes where you just like you can't touch them, and someone touched it.
Yeah.
But speaking of Game Pass, I played another game as well that might be interesting to the Nintendo audience as well. But it's actually not on Switch. So I played a bit of Battletoads.
Oh yes.
And I didn't play a heap. I just played like probably an hour's worth. And with these beat 'em up games, like we all know they're nowhere near as much fun when you're just playing by yourself.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
So it was even like a few weeks ago. I played Streets of Rage, and I found the first level like really hard by myself. Like people just kick the shit out of me, and even if I'm like beating everyone as I'm going on, I just run out of lives eventually because you don't have like that much health and stuff.
I've had it downloaded. We just never got around to playing it.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Yeah, because like the night I said to you, like, all right, let's play Streets of Rage 4. You're like, all right, yep, and you had it downloaded. But then by the time that happened, my don't know,
drive to play was just like,
yeah, must have faded. But yeah, Battletoads, it's a similar thing. I'm going through it and like fighting through, and it's fun. Like I'm just mashing buttons. I'm doing the tutorial, sort of learning things as I go. But I'm just like, all right, that's heavy, that's light, that's jump, like et cetera, and going through it. So the gameplay didn't like capture me straight away, but I think the obvious thing, if you see a trailer or something, that the art style is just really gorgeous. Once again, hand drawn, just really reminds you of a 90s cartoon early in the morning, and the writing. There was a few times where I'm just like, it made me laugh, but it made me like nervous laugh. Like some of the jokes, like some hit, some missed. Like it can be pretty crude. Just in the first bit I played, but absolutely, like the music is top notch. We all know like the Battletoads theme, just remixed, redone, sounds awesome. And yeah, that's kind of all I've got to say on it. So, but once again, if you've got access to Game Pass or a PC or anything, definitely go and give it a go. It might have been the type of game that comes to Switch. Like it seems like a pretty good fit. We know Ori and the Blind Forest, Cuphead, some of these Microsoft exclusives come over, so you can see where it sort of dies down a bit on Xbox. You can see them say, all right, let's move it over the Switch.
Which I think is like, was their original intention making such a close partnership with Nintendo? Is that like a lot of these games to people who play Xbox are probably, quite the miss in terms of like their general market. Their general market at the moment, any platform's general market except Apple's market at the moment is fucking Fortnite. So
What a sting.
No, just that whole situation. My God, I don't.
Yeah. All right. We can talk about that after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit of a head shaker, that one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, they're the few games I sort of touched on the last week. Anything you've been touching?
Not particularly, really. Like, I have all these ideas to download a few things and just do something different. But to be completely honest, like, obviously this little contraption that I have in front of me, my new iPad, was a...
You bought it just to play Fortnite? No, I'm joking. Yeah.
Dear Lord. No. I got that as a early birthday thing because, I've been looking for better, more manual sort of dynamic ways to draw, because the way that I do digital art at the moment at home, it's not very comfortable when you have two children jumping around you. You kind of need to have a laptop and you need to have this big clunky screen on you and you need to draw, and it does get a little bit...
Yeah. And when you see the kid trying to crawl into the fireplace. You're like, oh shit! So you get off the laptop. You
Yeah.
get the drawing tablet off. You're like, oh, you're tangled the wires. Oh god, she's in the flames.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You know, it's a bit everywhere. So I was like, all right, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna buy myself an iPad, just a cheap one to begin with, because iPads at the moment, like, my original thought was, maybe I'll get an Air or something, you know, something that's got a little bit more oomph to last me a little bit longer. But you literally can't find them anywhere unless you back order them and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't want to have to go through all that, you know. I'll just pick up a basic iPad for now, see how it runs. And, you know, the general consensus with them was like, you know, Apple Pencil works fine on them. They work, you know, relatively well. And, so I was just like, oh, bugger it. Well, I'll just go get that. And then I'll wait for the next Pro review and I'll go get a Pro when they're brand spanking new with a new pencil. And
Yeah, so you've been playing around with that.
yeah,
That's the idea.
basically.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, just rather than sort of dedicating all my time to gaming, trying to get some creative outlet out and doing something a bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds good.
It's good.
Yeah, because I know whenever I get a new device, it's just fun to play with it. Just say, oh, well, there's some good apps, and like you're just downloading everything left and right, trying different things. I know, like when I got my phone, I downloaded I think I downloaded like all 50 games that came to Apple Arcade. I played like 3.
Yeah.
I downloaded like gigs and gigs worth. But it's just because it's just fun once you get a new device to sort of try out everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a big person on organization and having the right stuff, like the tools that I need. So it's sort of just like, you know, a lot of playing around with that. I remember, you know, the first thing I was like, all right, I'm going to get Procreate. And Procreate's only like $15, but it's, you know, just as much of a versatile tool as what Photoshop is in a lot of ways. So I'm like, holy shit, I love Procreate. So I've been spending a lot of time just bumming around on Procreate, trying different things.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's been really great.
Yeah. Get a bit of productivity in there.
Productivity, yeah.
Productivity.
Productivity.
It's an interesting one to say, isn't it?
Quack. Quack.
Quack. All right, so I think that does it for that bit. Let's jump into some news, Bryce.
Okay.
Woohoo! Yeah! Pika, pika!
Is that all?
I fight for my friends!
My body is still.
All right, Bryce, a bit of news this week. So to start things off, Golf Story, the Golf Story sequel, Sports Story, has been delayed.
Sports Story.
All right, so this is from My Nintendo News, and the article reads, Sidebar Games, the developers behind the Nintendo Switch exclusive title Sports Story, has been announced that the Golf Story sequel has been delayed. In a statement on Twitter, Sidebar advised that the delay was due to the ambitious plans that they want to get everything in the game. There's no new release date window as of yet, as it was slated for a mid-2020 release, but we'll keep an eye out for any further developments. So just a real quick one there that Sports Story has been delayed. So I know that's been a pretty anticipated indie game. Obviously at the launch of Switch with Golf Story, one of the most acclaimed indie games to be on the system, full stop. Had a lot of chatter about it, and also a game that was developed here in Australia.
I still need to play Golf Story in general.
Yeah, I need to play a lot more of it.
Yeah.
Got a lot of those games sort of sitting on the pile there.
It's good to see a lot of like Australian indie is really tearing it up though. You know, and like when you think about great indie games, you think about games like Golf Story and Hollow Knight and Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah, speaking of Untitled Goose Game, Bryce, Untitled Goose Game gets a 2-player mode on September 23rd. And this article is from Vooks.net, and the article reads, this is getting out of hand now. Now there are 2 of them. Untitled Goose Game is getting a free update on September 23rd to add a 2-player mode to the game. You'll be able to play through the entire game with a friend locally. This update will be entirely free. Honk honk.
Honk honk. Beautiful.
So very cool that getting a new content for Untitled Goose Game. And the idea of playing this game co-op, it sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, just fucking around with the villagers. Like it's fun enough to fuck around with the villagers as it is, but imagine like fucking around with them even more.
Yeah.
You know, that's it in a nutshell. And because you can control it with one Joy-Con, you could just play 2-player by yourself and just fuck around with them by yourself.
A bit of 2-goose action.
It's intuitive, right?
Ooh.
You know, you just hold your controllers like biscuits and then...
Wow.
You know?
Like a Tim Tam that's melting. You're like, oh.
Oh, I'm just going to get it on my thumb tip so I can just go...
Let me suck off the chocolate. Oh. Yeah, so that's cool. Because we know like a lot of fathers and that were playing it with their kids. Because it's just like a real easy game.
I know, I did. Yeah.
You did you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
So this would be great for you as well.
When it was on Game Pass, that was, we spent, I think it was like 2 hours just as a family sitting there honking at idiot
So that's
villagers.
awesome. That's really enduring just to hear. That's really cool.
Well, I mean, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
It's just sitting around laughing at the antics of a goose. That's, silly goose.
Look, I'm controlling a goose. I'm being a goose. Just goose all around.
That's exactly right.
That's good. All right, so next up is a roundup of the Indie World presentation from last week. And this is from My Nintendo News. And I'm just going to go through some of the games that were announced. So Hades from Supergiant Games. This was originally a game that came to the Epic Games Store in its beta. And now it's coming to Nintendo Switch.
I really want this game.
Yeah, I do too. It looks awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's made by the same developers as Bastion and Transistor, so and I've looked at it for a long time, but I'd never really considered buying it until now. Now seems like a perfect time.
Yeah, So I reckon I'll be interested in this when it comes up later this year. I guess for those that don't know, if you haven't watched the presentation, it's very much in the same realm as Bastion, with sort of that camera that's more isometric, and you're sort of running around doing like melee combat. It looks a fair bit faster than Bastion.
Yeah, with those games, I can't remember the developer's name. What's the developer's name?
Supergiant Games.
Supergiant. With their games, they all very much encompass the same style of isometric, like plane-based type of gameplay, but they all have different elements. So Bastion's is more like a general RPG. Transistor has like grid-like combat sort of.
It actually brings in some turn-based stuff as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It has like that kind of effect added to it, and then Hades is like a roguelike, so it's in the same vein of like Dead Cells and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it seems to be something that's like common on their radar, where they really want to keep this isometric style as they develop games, but they want to introduce it to a different genre every single time, which is neat.
Yeah.
Like it's a really cool pattern. And I think, I enjoyed. I didn't get through all of Bastion, but I enjoyed it. Didn't get through all of Transistor, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and those games are super cheap on Switch too.
They certainly are.
I bought them for like $2 or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's just ridiculous. And like another game they made as well, Pyre, which it's sort of like they made their own sport. It's like a combination of soccer and even chess, some different things. I didn't play that because that came out in 2018.
I never heard about it.
I think it came out in 2017, and that was a year when I was very much into the Switch. There's a lot of indie games to play on Switch as well. So I hope that does come to the Switch. That'd be great.
That'd be nice, yeah.
So next on is next game they announced was a Ragey and an ancient epic from Notting Head Games. And I'm going to read the blurb here because this game sounds really interesting too. So this is an intense action adventure game that's set in ancient India, inspired by Hindu and Balinese mythology. A young girl chosen by the gods stands against I can't talk, Bryce. A demonic invasion of the human realm. Her destiny: rescue her younger brother and face the mighty demon lord. Players will experience fluid combat and parkour while mastering divine weapons. Ragey, an ancient epic, launches later today. So yeah, it's already out on Nintendo Switch.
There's a lot of games that released on that day.
There was, and it's great. And this looks really cool. Obviously, a very different setting. With ancient India being the setting and playing as a female protagonist as well. And it just looked like fun, just sort of with its combat and everything. So I reckon that's one I'll look into. It is on the, I guess, more expensive side for maybe, especially on some of these games that came out, it's $30, whereas the games I was looking at are about 10. So it's a bit easier to jump in and all of that. But pretty cool. The next one was Spiritfarer, which we already know about, which we talked about. Untitled Goose Game, talked about that. A short hike. So I guess I'll just read the blurb for a short hike. So hike, climb and soar through the peaceful mountainside landscape of Hawk Peak Ponvintigal Park. A short hike is a game about players taking things about their own pace, choosing their own path, and seeing where it leads them. Along the way, players will meet other hikers, discover hidden treasures, and enjoy the beauty of the world. A short hike launches later today, which is already out. Another big one was Torchlight 3 from Perfect World Entertainment. So we already had Torchlight 2, which was pretty cool when that got announced. Another indie direct. Now we've got the third one. I'll probably give this one a miss. It's like these games, I don't have the time for these big time sinks necessarily.
It was really good for Diablo filler when Torchlight 2 came out. And I feel like a lot of Diablo players really enjoyed it because it was sort of in that dead zone between 2 and 3. Oh my god, he's got corona. Anyway, so it is good seeing it on the Switch, like the third one. I probably won't touch it, though. Personally it wasn't for me. I'm very 50-50 on Diablo as it is, so Torchlight 2 didn't really grab me. But I suppose it's good to see it there.
Yeah, it's a big game, so it's good to see that it's on the Switch.
Yeah.
This is the other one what stood out to me. So Takeshi and Tohoshi from Oink Games Incorporated. So this is something like $10, so it's a pretty easy price point to jump in on. So their little blurb here is the worlds of non-stop motion animation and RPGs combined. Takashi and Hoyoshi. As a 14-year-old aspiring game designer, Takeshi, the player's goal is to entertain their little brother Hitoshi with the latest chapter of their game. Takeshi needs to improvise. While it's his goal to let Takeshi meet big challenges, he wants to prevent them from losing. That's out right now. So yeah, it seems like a really just cute game where you're just brothers and you're trying to basically make a game for your little brother, but you don't want him to lose, but you don't want him to be that easy either. Yeah, just with its real nice sort of clay motion style and everything, it looks really cool. So, and for $10, I'm like, yeah, well, if this gives me 2 hours of entertainment and it's a nice little story, that's what I want from it. Because at the moment, I'm not looking for big 30-hour games.
No. Yeah, no.
Just like a 2-hour thing would be quite nice. Yeah. So the next one, Hyposcape Outlaw from Tender Shot. I can't actually remember what this one is, so we'll read it. In the 90s internet simulator, players will scour a wide variety of websites, add useful downloads to their desktops. Oh, I remember now. Dodge computer viruses and hunt down virtual villains as an enforcer in Hyperscape Patrol Department. Hyperscape, launches today. Launches on the 27th, so it's not out quite yet. Yep, that game looked quite cool from what I remember. Card Shark from Digital Devolver. And this one looks pretty cool. Like you're actually trying to rip people off, like cheating cards. And they had a video in the Nintendo Direct where they're actually they had a developer there showing you actually real cards and how they're doing it. So it looked like a real cool game. How you're actually trying to might actually teach you some tricks as well. Manifold Garden from William Cryer Studio LLC. Set foot in a beautiful world full of mind-bending puzzles in Manifold Garden, a game that reimagines the laws of physics. Geometry repeats infinity in every direction, and falling down leads players back to where they started. Subnautica and Subnautica Zero from Unknown Worlds Entertainment. And I thought this looks pretty cool because you're basically just going underwater and exploring underwater. And actually, funnily enough, I downloaded it on Xbox Game Pass to give it a go. So I saw it here. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I'm on my Xbox. I'm like, oh.
Is it the sequel to Subnautica?
Yeah. So, as there's here, there's Subnautica. And then there's a second one called Subnautica Below Zero.
Okay. Yeah. So that you know the original Subnautica. Yeah. You know it's horror.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm just making sure you don't shit your pants or something.
Yeah, but it looks fun just going underwater and exploring and...
Yeah, until you see something really fucking creepy that makes you go...
Yeah. Garden Story from Rose City Games. Garden Story invites players into a wholesome and delightful world where they'll rebuild the community as a Concord, the newly appointed guardian of the Grove. Traverse a vibrant island to combat inversive rot. Captivate fruity relationships. Gather precious resources. Restore buildings and rebuild your home. So that comes out next year. And that looks great. I'm really looking forward to that. And as they're going along, like, oh, this is out now. This is out now. I'm like, oh, please, this be out now. This looks like a lot of fun. They're like, 2021. I'm like, oh, God damn it. So that looks really cool. Just like a really nice, vibrant sort of art style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I didn't get exactly what it's about. I know that it's about like, being in a town and stuff. But I'm like, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Evergate from Stone Lantern Games. Evergate is a dreamlike 2D puzzle platformer set in the afterlife, which players control Key, a childlike spirit on a journey throughout life, death, space, and time. The innovative soul flame mechanic grants the power to slow down time and gives players great flexibility in how they choose to navigate this beautiful yet haunting world. Yeah, so that game looks great too. I think that game was roughly $30 on the eShop. And it sort of has like an Ori in the Blind Forest art style. Looks really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a pretty interesting mechanic in there too. Being the I guess what they say here is the soul flame mechanic, where you can slow down time and sort of like shoot yourself in certain directions.
I still like $30 is like a real rough price point though for me in indie games. There's not many indie games that I buy for $30. Like it's usually the type of thing I'd be like, wait for a sale, get it for maybe 20.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like it's not even that it's not worth that. It's just
no, that's right. Yeah,
it's like, oh well.
It just feels like if you go into your Xbox or your PlayStation, you're gonna find it cheaper, and you probably will.
Yeah, you might. Well, but some of these games are console exclusive as well, at least timed.
Well, timed, yeah. But like, if you look at it from the perspective of like, if this were on Xbox or PlayStation, would it be cheaper than that? The answer usually is yes.
Yeah, I mean, not all the time for some of these 2D platformers, but I think it's like more from some bigger games from like the $40 price range and up. That's where you see a bit of inflation on some of these, but
yeah, I still feel like you'd find it cheaper on the other two, though.
I mean, you probably will. Unfortunately. So the last one is Bear and Breakfast from Gummy Cat Studio. In Bear and Breakfast, a laid-back management adventure game, players take the role of Hank, a well-meaning bear trying to turn an abandoned shack into a successful B&B. As the business expands, this looks really cool actually. Now I'm remembering it halfway through the blurb. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. As the business expands, so do the mysteries of the forest, and soon Hank will find himself uncovering a plot deeper than the wilderness itself. Bear and Breakfast combines building management and exploration elements with deep customization and side quests galore, and that comes out on Nintendo Switch in 2021.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so Bear and Breakfast. So, out of this list, I would love to play most of them. Whether I actually go, fork over the cash in my wallet for every single one, I don't know. Probably not. But, a lot of these games look absolutely great. Just going through this, Evergate looks awesome. Hopefully I'll get to that eventually. Bear and Breakfast, Garden Story. Manifold Garden looked cool. Card Shark looked cool. I don't think I'll get it, though. I'm not really into card games necessarily. Takeshi and Hoyoshi, that looked pretty good. I'll be getting that next after I finish A Short Hike. Reiji and the Ancient Epic, that looks good. And of course Hades, interested in that as well. So there's a lot in that list. They picked out a few good ones to show off.
Yeah. Just had a quick question while we're talking about directs though. Are we covering the suggested rumors?
I don't know. Probably not.
Probably not.
Mainly because there's so many things coming out each week. I don't want the show to be like, hey, is there a direct next week? And the next week, hey, is there a direct next week?
Well, there's only two things I suppose I wanted to address, and I don't know whether either of them are in here, so I'll probably just dump them real quick.
Yeah, just dump them. Just go.
Right. There was a suggested rumor that there would be a direct this week, this Friday. I think that's a load of shit, and I don't think it's going to happen at all. And
just to stop you, if there is, this podcast's going to age so badly.
Of course it is. It's going to age like cheese, but you know how often that happens, and at this point, we've just had an indie world, and I don't feel like they're too unconfident about how they're going.
You've actually just reminded me. I'm going to put Nintendo's tweets on notification because last week it was the Indie World that got like finished the podcast. Like, oh, they announced this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I told him as the song outro was going out for the podcast, I'm like, Indie World Direct just got announced like 30 minutes ago. I'm like, God damn it. But anyway, and then there was the other thing that, and this person, I always talk about this person and say, take everything she says with a grain of salt because I don't trust her much at all. But Emily Rogers saying that Pikmin was actually supposed to be a March game and instead got delayed to the end of the year due to COVID and some other stuff.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense.
It does, but whether like that's actually true or not is questionable because if it was going to release in March, I feel March. First of all, that's a dumb assumption to be releasing Pikmin 3 Deluxe alongside Animal Crossing in terms of time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was March. I think maybe
June.
Maybe June or maybe even August. That would probably make a lot of sense.
And then that it got delayed that far along. I don't feel like a port's going to be delayed that far along, whether that's questionable or not. And at the same time, like when it comes to, what I said at the start of the year with Breath of the Wild 2 being at the end of the year and stuff like that, I can absolutely imagine stuff like that being delayed if it was meant for release 2020 and going into 2021 because the amount of development delays that would have been there. But considering they had a lot of the tools to work with Pikmin already, technically, I feel like it was kind of fast. And I guess I just kind of wanted to make that known because a lot of people are talking about it like, oh, what does this mean for the rest of the year in Nintendo? What is going to happen to us? It's just like I don't think that Pikmin 3 Deluxe of all things was delayed 6 months because they couldn't work on it. Of all the things that could have been delayed, such a huge delay on, something like that seems unplausible.
No, I think a game that was coming out in March wouldn't have been delayed because of coronavirus.
No.
That was pretty early on in things, and like Animal Crossing still came out. And Animal Crossing didn't get a delay, so Pikmin definitely didn't get a delay because of world events.
No.
I think like if it was coming out like now, during August, or even September, that's definitely a reason why it got delayed then.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have got a 2-month delay before announce was made. I think that makes a lot more sense. But yeah, I don't look into the rumors a whole lot unless like there's a bit of weight behind them. And
it's Emily Rogers, like I said it at the start, like I always say, take whatever this person says with a grain of salt because it's generally like wrong or I feel like her schedule's like I'll keep poking for information. When I actually get information, it'll be out there, but there are going to be plenty of times where I'm dry and will just make up a load of shit. And I think that's one of those times because a lot of people are sort of hinging this on like, oh, what does it mean? Does that mean our schedule's completely screwed for the next year? Oh no. And it's just like, well, no, not really.
Yes. Saying Nintendo Direct at the moment is like being in the middle of the bush on a 40-degree day and you like light up a cigarette. It's like, oh, Nintendo Direct. It's on fire.
Yeah, anything related to Nintendo at the moment because it's dry, like at this current point in time. Not that like all of you don't have an absolute massive backlog of games for the most part to friggin' go on and beat. I know that I do. I have huge backlog.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, man.
Huge.
Pretty intense.
Huge. Yeah. My God.
So, Bryce, enough about those rumors, Bryce. Enough about those rumors.
I don't want to talk about them quickly.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you brought them up.
Good.
Good.
like the Zelda.
Don't punch me.
The Zelda CDI thing, where it's just like, you've killed me. Good.
Yeah, Ike seems to agree with you. So
he's still here.
Yeah, no, I
thought he was going off to save the world.
He's like, oh, this boy's started doing the podcast. He's kind of hanging out the window, just like chilling out. What's going on? He's going on.
I was going to say, he's out there in the window. He's got his sword in the ground. And he's just sitting there looking at us. It's a bit weird.
You'll get no sympathy.
Hey, don't you shut up. We're trying to record a podcast here, Ike.
Listen, Ike, okay, we thought you were going to go. Okay, bro?
We really did.
All right.
We did.
I fight for my friend.
Okay, Ike.
Move on.
Yeah, you can stay here, man. You're all right. So next up, Bryce, this is from dailyesports.com. And the title is 16 frequently used Pokemon are banned in VGC starting Series 6.
I did not read this.
Yeah, so the Pokemon Company announced the rule set for the upcoming VGC Series 6 on August 20th via Pokemon Home. It came with the bombshell news that 16 frequently used Pokemon will not be legal in the upcoming competitive tournaments. Series 6 will go on live in Pokemon Sword and Shield's Battle Stadium starting September 1st. The upcoming ban likely intends to diversify players' teams by targeting the most common Pokemon at high levels of play. The banned Pokemon were all top 10 in usage for singles and or double battles in Pokemon Sword and Shield's ranked battles ladder during Season 8, according to Pokemon Home's battle data section. Beginning with VGC Series 6, trainers will have to remove the following Pokemon from their teams. So number 1, Rillaboom, Togekiss, Cinderace, Incineroar, Indeedee, the both male and female variants, Tyranitar, Whimsicott, Torkoal, Dragapult, Venusaur, Porygon 2, Mimikyu, Gyarados, Hippowdon, Excadrill, and Magnezone.
That's a really, really harsh list.
It is a harsh list. So it was literally just the top Pokemon used. They look at their data and go, all right, get rid of them. And the article goes on. So it's breaking down the Pokemon VGC ban. So notably, Urshifu and Terrakion dodged the cuts made for Pokemon VGC Series 6. These powerful legendary Pokemon become legal in competitive play with the switch to Series 6 in July. However, many of the players' popular starter Pokemon were not so lucky. Galar Stars, Rillaboom, and Cinderace were banned due to the high usage rates, along with Incineroar and Venusaur. As Wolfie Click noted, Dusclops is one of the best Pokemon that will remain legal in the upcoming season. Previously, Dusclops was extremely useful in games, and it was the game's bulkiest Trick Room setup. However, Porygon 2 largely replaced Dusclops when the Isle of Armor DLC launched. But now that Porygon 2 is out of the picture, Dusclops will likely return. The Ghost-type Pokemon will certainly be a crucial member of any Trick Room team going forward. Naturally, other Pokemon will rise to fill the gaps left by those banned in the VGC Series 6. Likely top-tier contenders for the upcoming season include Lapras, Amoonguss, along with Dusclops. They are just outside of the top 10 most used Pokemon for Season 9. So it's interesting. We talked about the Dex cut and all that, and one of the positives of what came out was that the VGC is the most interesting to watch and vibrant it's been in years with Pokemon Sword and Shield. And they're sort of, well, that's my opinion anyway. I don't know about you. But with this cut, it's interesting as well because we've seen it become pretty stagnant with the introduction of the Isle of Armor DLC. It's like, oh, well, some new contenders have come in, most notably here, Venusaur, Porygon 2, Magnezone, new Pokemon that have been introduced. And now we're sort of seeing the Pokemon Company try and mix things up by getting rid of the mainstays to really shake up for the next season. And while there's some Pokemon that I really like seeing on there, like obviously Porygon 2, love Porygon 2, Tyranitar, Incineroar, like there's a lot of my favorites on there. Excadrill, which I bothered to get a shiny one, and but if it's like just this season, and each season they're doing different things to shake it up, and this happens to be one where they're just getting rid of the main Pokemon, I think it's a positive thing, and I'm interested to see what's going to rise up.
Still, it's really strange. I feel like that cut list is almost too harsh.
Yeah, I mean, like the article says, though, other things are just going to rise to the top. So if you've got something like, what do we got here, like Tyranitar, you'll see probably, what's his name? Rhyperior, probably fill that gap. And, got other Pokemon that are similar in what they do, sort of rise up.
Yeah, could do. But, like, just thinking from the perspective of how many different starters they've got now. Like, I didn't even know Rillaboom was like a big, massive competitive Firehorn.
It became one when it got its new hidden ability, and you can sort of pair that with the new move, Grassy Glide, as well.
What was it hidden ability?
It sets grassy terrain.
Okay.
And they introduced a new move, Grassy Glide, but when you've got grassy terrain up, you've always got priority as well. So it's a real slow Pokemon, but it's slow and powerful, but when you've got that move, you're able to get your stab and get it as the first move.
Gotcha.
So it's a big thing as well, especially when you've got Trick Room as well. It's able to use Trick Room pretty effectively as well.
I also still find it very, very sad that Porygon 2 is out using Porygon Z.
Yeah.
Thanks to Eviolite,
yeah,
probably.
Give it the Eviolite, it just becomes super bulky.
Yeah.
And it's got that versatility with Trick Room and just, great defense and a pretty decent special attack as well. Because when Porygon 2 evolves into Porygon Z, it, unlike other Pokemon where they just get stronger in each stat as they go, like Porygon 2 basically swaps its defense with its special attack. So Porygon Z is like just a serious glass cannon. Like it will fire off real strong attacks, but it won't stay around long.
Yep.
Whereas obviously Porygon 2 is very different. It'll just eat up attacks.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They use it more as a defensive powerhouse.
Yeah, so you're going to see a lot more Porygon Z, for example, now that Porygon 2's out. You'll just see them used in different ways. It's really exciting. I'm keen just to watch more competitive stuff. They've got the Pokemon Players Cup on at the moment, and it doesn't have those rules. But when we see this, it's just going to be nice seeing other Pokemon because it gets boring. Saying like, oh, this guy's got Togekiss. Togekiss is just a major player.
Yeah, we all know that. Yeah.
So Togekiss is gone. People have to find different ways to move around their opponents.
That's true.
I didn't realize Hippowdon is the one that stands out to me in this group. I didn't know Hippowdon was a big one. It's not one that I've seen a whole lot used in battle.
I used to see some usage in Black and White, didn't it?
Yeah, but I haven't seen it much just in Sword and Shield. That's what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah.
But yeah,
I guess so.
Interesting anyway. So moving on to some more Pokemon news. So the Pokemon Go Community Day votes are in. And it was between Caterpie, Grimer, Porygon, and Charmander. And the results were pretty overwhelming. Porygon won with like a 55% win. Like it was just out of this world. And of course, Charmander came second.
Yep.
I think it was pretty easy to guess, but if it went any other way, I would have ripped someone's head off.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd situation in the fact that 3 out of 4 of them had shinies, 1 of them did not.
Yeah.
And that was Porygon, and for obvious reasons. And you know what? Like to me, that's like hallelujah, a blessing, because we do not get Porygon here. Like,
yeah.
They are non-existent.
I caught like a couple of them, and they're through like the Team Rocket battles. You get the Shadow Porygon. You don't see any in the wild though, so it was good to see that Porygon won. And Porygon's one of my favorite Pokemon, and it's definitely one of my favorite shinies. So having a community day.
Did you rare candy it to get the Z that you've got?
I did. Yep. I did.
There you go.
I did put him as my partner though to try to get enough candy to evolve him.
But then you were just like, meh.
But I'm like, I need to free up my bag space anyway. So
yeah,
let's just make some rare candy.
You're like, meh.
Yeah. And can you blame me?
No. And then the other choices that you had were Grimer and Caterpie, and neither of them. A lot of people are sort of like, pick Caterpie because it's shiny and it's rarer than Charmander at this point. And then it's just like, yeah, but then you also devalue the people that have that shiny for no real good reason either, because Butterfree is not used for jack shit in Pokemon Go.
That's the same for every shiny though, but I think Butterfree would have been a cool one to hunt. But yeah, and Grimer would have been such a disappointment if people voted in Grimer, personally.
Yeah.
Like I think I've got a shiny Alolan Grimer. But even then it's like it's not that exciting.
Well, I think the other thing is just like from the perspective of as much as I even have a penchant, like a very strong penchant for, Charizard gets way too much love in just about literally any Pokemon media possible. And, that's been very apparent since X and Y with its 2 fucking megas. It's very important for the competitive battling scene in Pokemon Go, even though, saying that in a sentence kind of makes most people spew. But, it is a very powerful Pokemon, and having ones with dragon type attacks and like a different mixes, like obviously really, really good. And it'd be a wasted opportunity for those who, one, don't have a decent Charizard or a shiny Charizard or whatever you to get that. It also just because they've already had the community day for Charmander in some aspects does not necessarily mean that people want a community day for Caterpie. And it's the same thing about Weedle, and I know that's sort of like a bit of a controversial thing amongst people that probably listen to this show because they're like, give us Weedle community day. But honestly, like outside of having that shiny, what else are you going to use it for?
Yeah, no, I think Beedrill has some use with its exclusive move. I forgot what it was. It was a ground move that was exclusive to that day. But I think it has some use. But yeah, personally, I won't be using it. So
No. But like, you know, from the perspective of that though, it is just sort of like, what do you pick? What do you pick? You pick Caterpie, which you get a Butterfree out of it, and you'll probably not get much use out of it whatsoever. You'll pick Muck and Grimer and Muck, and honestly, I don't think anybody's even bothered to try and use Muck in competitive Go or for raids or
yeah, probably not
anything at all. So it's just like, what have you got? You've got Porygon and Charmander. Obviously, Porygon won. That was the right choice to win. So it's like, yay, hooray, it won. But its follow-up for the second community day is like, well, So a lot of people that are just like, he doesn't deserve a second, give it to Caterpie. It's just like, no, if he's on the list, you might as well just give it to him anyway. You know, I believe they also could have picked something, but that whole list, you know, could have been something that was not Kanto like Kanto Pokemon. They've got 5 generations of Pokemon in there now. They could have picked literally anything in the planet Earth. But if they're going to put Porygon, Charmander, Grimer, and Caterpie in there, you might as well pick the 2 that are going to be the best options.
Yeah, I never thought that they were all original Pokemon. Like, oh, they were too.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Oh well.
Could have we not just had like a community day pickup of like, I don't know, the current Gen 5 starters that
just
are,
like make us pick out of Trubbish or Grimer. What piece of shit do you want to go and catch?
Yeah, make it thematic. Make the votes thematic. Like, here is your Pokemon based on objects in real life. You have Rotom, or you have Grimer, or Trubbish, or, you know, just sort of mix it up a bit, guys. Going all the way back to Kanto for literally every pick for this one was a little bit you know, gross for the most part. Oh, even if we did get Porygon Community Day, which is a positive.
I like Porygon. I'm happy we got Porygon. Give me more Porygon.
I am too. But yeah, just seeing the other options, I was just like, is there really any other choice but Porygon, honestly?
No.
Not really, no.
Speaking of Porygon, Bryce, if you want to get a battle-ready Porygon 2, you got until August 21st.
Why the fuck would I? They banned it.
Exactly. So yeah, Pokemon are giving out a Porygon 2, and if you go to your Wonder Gift feature in Pokemon Sword and Shield and put in the code Pokemon Players Cup, so that's PKMNPLAYERSCUP, you can get a battle ready Porygon 2, and it's got an event ribbon, it's got a Cherish Ball, and its original trainer is VGC 20. So I haven't done it just yet, but I'll make sure I do it before the time runs out. They're giving away a few Pokemon, which is actually pretty cool while the Players' Cup's going on. Good. So it's nice to see.
Yeah. Too bad they're banned.
Yeah. Well, they'll be unbanned eventually, Bryce. You'll be able to use it. They just never unban it again. It's like for like the next 20 years as Pokemon's going on. It's like, when can I use this Porygon 2 you gave me? This just the last bit of Pokemon news, which isn't really Pokemon news, but it's just an interesting little tidbit. So the Pokemon user interface designer asked for feedback for future Pokemon games. I actually saw this on Twitter. So David Gibson, who is a user interface designer on the popular Pokemon series of video games, has asked fans for feedback on what they would like improved in future games of the franchise. He says in the tweet that the Pokemon company wants to skip the next game in the series with the best top-end experience possible, and that user feedback would provide to be invaluable. If you have any suggestions, tweet at him at a Japanese Dream. So he said on Twitter, "What UI/UX mistakes drive you absolutely mad in Pokemon games? I want to ship the next game with a top-end experience, and your feedback is invaluable." So yeah, it's just interesting that someone from Pokemon, I think in their bio, they said they were from Creatures. So obviously Creatures works very, very, very closely with Game Freak. And yeah, I mean, the Pokemon UI has been good in like a lot of games, but with us Sword and Shield, there were a few things that were missing. The main one I can think of is just like being in like your menu, and then in the 3DS games, you'll press X and it'll just take you right back. Whereas this game, you got B, 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 B back, and it just like slows down. So, and we all know sort of like getting online in those games is a nightmare. And
My God,
yeah,
the sticker system is the worst thing ever. Honestly, so annoying.
it's pretty bad.
It's like they tried to make a live feed that does not live feed. It's really irritating and really disgusting.
Yeah, it's like it's not up to date enough to actually be useful.
No.
Like I was thinking the other day, like we've been playing Pokemon Go pretty well over the last month, and we have a Facebook chat where people are like, oh, do you want to raid? And when people send me a raid, it pops up saying, hey, you're invited to a raid. You've got a minute to enter it. Oh, my camera's gone flat. I think that's what's going on.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Look at that.
Let me just lean over here.
You do that, my friend. All right. Oh, no.
Oh.
Poor camera.
Yeah, I think I forgot to plug it in.
You're more than welcome to do that if you want. I'll just keep talking about it.
No, you do that. I'll do that, man.
Well, look, and the thing is going forward with any Pokemon experience, I think it's 100% a positive that somebody's actually stood up and said, it's time to get some player feedback and hopefully bring that right in, because if there's one thing that players are super critical about, it's that they feel like they're not being heard with Pokemon, and it's definitely really starting to grind people's gears. I think when it comes in terms of like battery exhausted, oh no, look at that, beautiful. This is going to be a great video podcast. But whether it comes down to UI changes and stuff like that, which are very much minor hindrances, I do feel like they need to focus on stuff that's a bit more, straightforward and probably a bit more concerning, like whether it comes to difficulty curves in Pokemon or, the inclusion of specific Pokemon or ways that they can engage the community and keep them interested. Because as far as things go, like they've been doing okay with the raids. I'm not particularly interested with how they've managed it at this current point in time, but otherwise, like I do think they're doing better. But because of the way their infrastructure works with their sticker system, it's really not engaging enough for it to be like, yes, I'm going to waste my time sitting here trying to refresh my feed over and over by activating a trainer card trade or something.
Yeah.
Like, that's really irritating. And yeah.
Yeah, I think for the next games, what I'd like to see is like they've definitely stepped in the right direction, introducing, max battles and raids and all that. But it's just it's not snappy enough to be like, hey, Bryce is inviting you to a raid. Do you want to join? There is none of that. Like it's real difficult to sort of try and get it. Like even if we're in the same room and we're even just doing it over wireless, it's like, oh, wait for it to come up. Yeah, I'll join it then. Like I'll click on it and join it. But then it's to be like, I'm inviting these 4 specific people, and like just send it on the Switch friend list. I know that the Switch online and the friends list isn't even up to scratch, let alone the Pokemon game being up to scratch to do this. But that's what it definitely needs. And playing Pokemon Go, where it just like pops up saying, hey, this person from Japan or Bryce or whoever it is inviting to a raid. You've got a minute to join it. I think that's the way to go.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Like inviting should just be very clear cut and sort of bang on. The other thing is like that does in its own right come down to the Switch also not being very intuitive in how it works with things like that. Like it would be very, very good if you could just manage it to the point where you create a group in Pokemon, like a party, like you would in an MMORPG, for example. You create a party of people, and then instead of having to reinvite somebody or get somebody to join your raid every single goddamn time, you just want to do a very basic thing with your friends.
You hit that button.
You just go to the thing, hit the button, and you all join it rather than, stuffing around. And I think
that sounds good.
Well, the thing is like the only thing that Pokemon can really do from here, in my opinion, is adopt a lot of those strategies especially if they're going to go ahead with max raid battles as options for content, which I really don't think they should stop, because it's a really good way for the community to interact with each other.
Yeah.
But they really do have to adopt a MMORPG standpoint of, this is your party, this is what you do. There you go. Welcome, sir. Would you like some tea and cupcakes? Okay, we'll just go raid. And then you do 5 raids in a row without breaking party. And then somebody's like, all right, I need to go eat my jalamba. I'll catch you guys later. So they leave the party. Hooray. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of things they can do just to make it easier and more, because we would probably still be maybe hitting max raids more if it was easier to do. And also if like the events were interesting, like they've done different things. Like they rotate the Gigantamax forms, which are fun because like, oh, that's an easy way to sort of eventually get them all without having to like just rely on like the 1% catch rate. They did a couple of events as well. They did one with Magikarp having higher shiny rates, which was that was fun to do.
Yeah, but they're not as engaging as what it is in Pokemon Go, where it's sort of just jump in, done. Or the community days where it's just like, there's more Magikarp spawns, so you go catch a bunch of Magikarp. Right?
Yeah, it's a funny thing because like Pokemon Go with what it's doing, just having every week just something new, something rotate in, different events, different challenges. They're actually starting to do things better than the mainline Pokemon games.
Literally, in every sense of the word, and that's pretty concerning.
It is,
and if there's anything that they can learn, like I don't know whether it's because they're like, well, it's not as much of a social experience because you're playing on your handheld console and you're playing with people on the internet. But if coronavirus has taught us anything, it's that online relationships can be very valuable, and being online is a good way to keep in touch with your friends, even in the worst of times, like where things seem nigh impossible.
Yeah.
And it just gives you an activity to do together. And if you're paying an $80 price tag or whatever you are going into it, or $90 price tag, whatever you are, having that as an option feels pretty much like a necessity, especially if you're going to have that kind of endgame content hiccup.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a bit of a rumor going around maybe 3 weeks ago or so. And when I say rumor, I mean it's probably made up. But the only reason I put the rumor tag on it is that if anyone's following Sword and Shield rumors as it was going along, there was someone on Reddit that was posting as Ben Affleck. And he, at the very start, like at the start of the year, he put up like the next Pokemon game is going to have this, and this. And as the year went on, like each trailer that came out, it was slowly getting ticked off. And by the time when the games come out, every one of those things was actually real. Like he predicted Gigantamax forms, story beats, just everything about the games. Like, wow. All right, so he was definitely right. And this I don't know if it's the exact same person, but they posted about like the next Pokemon game, what that's going to be next year. And I feel like it's someone just making it up and pretending they're the same person, just so then people believe them.
Yeah.
But basically the gist of the rumor that the Pokemon games next year, they're not going to be Diamond and Pearl remakes, but it's going to be like a evolving game. It's going to be like more of a live game with like DLC of each region coming out maybe every year to sort of like clipping onto it as time goes on, not a new game every year.
Yeah, it's going to be turning into more like an almost like an MMO type. I like to use that word a lot, but
it'd be like a live game. I wouldn't call it an MMO. But
no. An MMO structure in terms of how DLC works.
Yes.
Because that's what does happen in an MMO. You have the base game, and then you get the expansion, and that expansion will add more areas and NPCs and things to do, and you'll waste your time in there for a bit, and you'll sort of go up in the rankings, whatever. You'll have restrictions put on you, like you might have new level caps and stuff like that, and then you move forward again with the next one after that one's finished, and just until the lead up to the next part. they will slowly add things into the game until it becomes progressively bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then eventually just go, whoo, it's just a big thing. And I feel like, when we're kids, we think about this all-encompassing game where you can go to every region and, stuff like that. And I feel like that is the thing that needs to happen. I don't think there is any way they can go about sort of going forward without making people unhappy. You really can just like go into the next game, start it off with Kanto or something, and then just have it progressively worked on. People pay $40 every time a new one comes out or something like that. And then they become more satisfied with the experience as time goes on. They'll be able to catch every Pokemon eventually. And just make it like its own fresh experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think the obvious sort of parallel to what we're talking about is like Destiny, where you get smaller expansions throughout the year, and usually in November.
Again, an MMO.
Yeah, in November you get like the big one where you pay like $50 for or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would actually love to see that. I think that would be a good way around sort of Game Freak being like, all right, we've got 3 years to develop this game. Let's crunch it out. let's get it out. Let's not get everything we want in there. And I think this is a good way around that. Like they can put out a game at launch, and we'll probably be like, oh, this is missing some shit. What is this? But then they can improve on it, like every other sort of live game out there. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's enough about Pokemon anyway. What we got here? So moving on from an article from Nintendo Everything, and I just put this in just in case it turns into something. Who knows? I don't think it will. But just very quickly. So the title is Next Issue of Nintendo Dream revealing a Switch game that everyone will enjoy. So Nintendo Dream's latest edition, and so this is a magazine in Japan, just for a bit of context as well. Latest edition has an interesting teaser for its next issue. In September, the Japanese magazine apparently will be revealing a Switch game that everyone will enjoy. Unfortunately, no additional information is available. While it sounds like Nintendo Dream may have a scoop, it's not entirely clear if a different source will beat them to the punch with the news. Also note that Nintendo's Dream context indicates that this is a single announcement. Japanese doesn't easily differentiate between plural and singular. So yeah, might be a bit of an announcement from a Japanese magazine next month. Not quite sure. And
if it was anything too big, it would be
it won't be.
It would be worldwide news,
Yeah.
So don't expect like, Zelda news or Metroid news or Bayonetta 3 news or something like that. I think.
Any first-party Nintendo news.
Not really, no. Yeah. Because it's obviously sort of set in the context that Japanese audiences are going to enjoy it, and because it's being, I guess the news is being broken by a third-party publication, it may be first party, I can't remember, but a Japanese-only publication. It's probably not going to be the most important news on planet Earth.
What if it is?
Oh no.
They're like, we've got a coronavirus vaccine. Oh my God.
How did we both come to that conclusion?
Because that's probably the pretty important thing at the moment to bring up.
Yeah.
Not that they have a Nintendo Switch game everyone's going to enjoy.
Yeah, we have a Nintendo Switch game. It's called Coronavirus Cure.
Ooh.
Yay.
Waggle the Joy-Cons. Yeah, some fun.
Yeah.
So this is actually pretty big news as far as Nintendo business goes, Bryce. So from on Nintendo News, Nintendo Switch is coming to Brazil soon. So the article reads, Nintendo of America has announced that Nintendo Switch will be available to buy in Brazil soon. The news came from NOA's Twitter account, with Nintendo urging fans to keep an eye out for updates via its Instagram and Facebook social media channels for the upcoming info. Typically, getting hold of Nintendo products, specifically games and consoles, means you have to pay the high price for importing the goods. And it can get very expensive. This news will also be overwhelmingly positive for Brazilian fans of the Big N. Exited the Brazilian market a few years ago, citing that high import duties for video games were to blame. Though the eShop is readily available right now, fans will be soon to be able to get physical games and consoles more easily and hopefully at more affordable prices. Yeah, so this is something that just affects video games as a whole, just like the huge tariffs put onto importing video games and that. And it's actually sort of resulted in a lot of Brazilian gamers playing a lot of old consoles, so like PS2 and Sega Genesis and all that. It lived like way longer than their life cycles just because just getting new consoles was so expensive there. So hopefully it's something that won't affect the Switch and new consoles going there too soon. But Bryce, what do you have to say about this?
Well, I mean, it's good to see it go back there, right? Like obviously after some time, when was it that they pulled out? I can't remember.
I'll look it up.
It was quite a few years ago now.
Yeah, so May 2017. Good news for Brazilian Nintendo fans. NC Games, who are local importer of Brazilian games, will be officially distributing Nintendo games. Nintendo previously left Brazil in early 2015.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, so yeah,
It's a long time ago.
yeah. So Brazilian, what they're doing over there is they're paying 120. Oh, Jesus! So US prices, they're paying $90 for a game, or $90 to $120 a game, US over there.
Oof.
So probably at least like doubled the price per game, let alone getting the console in the first place. So it was a very expensive hobby in Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people in Brazil aren't necessarily lucky enough to maybe have the income to just be spending on very expensive video games as well.
Unless they just imported all their consoles and which would have been cheaper anyway. So that just says a lot, really. It's great that it's going back there, and hopefully they can find the stability and make it work, and to see how it goes. Because I'm not too sure how the other two markets were doing there, if they were really doing much at all.
Yeah, not sure.
But yeah, so it's something obviously I want to be worldwide accessible. Obviously, a really big problem for Nintendo for the most part has been China, and we know that with NVIDIA pairing and stuff like that, they've managed to get some of their games over on Shield there, albeit old ones.
I just googled this. I just googled PlayStation Brazil. So this is from 2013. So this is just before the PlayStation 4 come out. And this is just in Google. It's like, how much does a PlayStation 4 cost in Brazil? And it says Sony's new PlayStation 4 won't be on store shelves until next month. But the gaming console has already raised eyebrows in Brazil after reports that it will cost 3,099 Brazilian real, or about 1,845 in today's exchange rate.
Man,
So that is just like,
that's terrible. Why?
because of the tariffs and the just exchange rate for just the amount they put on their export for goods is just through the roof.
Just buy a PC, bro. Like,
Well, that's the thing. They're paid on that too for all the parts and that coming over.
still.
Unless they're made in Brazil, they're paying.
At least I'll get a use out of it at that point. Damn. If you like decide, gaming's not for me, at least you've got a computer you can do other stuff on.
Yeah, you just spend like almost $2,000 on a PlayStation 4. You're like, you know what?
Time to reevaluate my life choices.
But think about it. If that was in Australia and the only way to get consoles or computer parts or any device that wasn't made in your country, which nothing is in Australia, and you wanted to play games, what would you do? Would you just choose one to import? Would you like, all right, I'm getting a PS4 or an Xbox or a Switch, or would you just not game? Would you get another hobby?
I would just get a PC.
That's not the point, though. You got to pay that on the PC as well.
Yeah, I understand that, but at least if I need to upgrade in the future, I can just get the small upgrades per time. I don't have to spend $1,800 on a friggin' PlayStation, knowing that it's going to be gone in the next 7 years. At least with a PC, I can push it to its absolute limits and be like, going into the next generation, I'm like, I bought this to start of last generation. It's like, well, I bought a pretty decent one, so at least I can run shit on low. Like, it feels like that would probably be the only way most people would do it in Brazil.
Yeah, well, there you go. So just ending up things, Bryce. This is just a bit of Ninjala news. Very exciting. I haven't actually played it yet. You played it. You enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. Ninjala's rumored Sonic the Hedgehog collaboration has been officially confirmed. So back in April, before Ninjala was even properly launched on the Nintendo Switch, data miners got to work on the game's open beta release. Amongst the number of discoveries made was a potential upcoming collaboration with Sonic the Hedgehog, which we now can confirm to be true. The game's developer and publishing Gung Ho Online Entertainment has officially announced the collab, posting about it on social media and also briefly discussing it on the latest developer diary. The team stops short of explaining how exactly Sonic will integrate itself within Ninjala's bubblegum world, but we'll surely find out soon enough.
Hooray.
So yeah, just interesting that Sonic the Hedgehog is collaborating with Ninjala. It's personally not a game that I care about, and by just the general feel out there, no one else cares about either. But it's turning up for a pretty big name, so let's see if Sonic the Hedgehog can save Ninjala. I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog, it can barely save itself. So
yeah,
we'll
yeah, definitely got that right.
So anyway, Bryce, that brings us to the end of the news, man.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So we've been here for a little while. I don't think Reggie really wants us in the rec room this week, unless you want to bash down the door and sort of have a drink in there. But don't know, not really feeling the need for a drink just yet. Well, what do you think?
Can have a quick chat in the rec room about the Apple Fortnite thing, I suppose.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, just a real quick one.
I just feel bad because we go in there every week and Reggie's just like, oh, don't I have to come in? But
it's all right. I'll pose a question to you. We'll knock it out quick, and hopefully he'll be relieved.
All right, Reggie, let us in. We're coming in. All right.
Hi, Nintendo fans. Reggie here.
Oh, hey, Reggie.
Thank you
man.
for your never-ending support.
Oh,
For
yes.
giving me a
Hope you
mushroom
like doing this
kingdom
speech every week.
full of
Actually sounds pretty happy this
incredible
week.
memories that
Actually
I
does,
will
yeah.
never
Oh, thank God, I just got nervous.
Maybe he's happy that Apple's kicking Fortnite in the ass.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh, Reggie, thank you very much for that drink, man. I'm actually gonna have a drink. I'm getting pretty parched.
Yeah, good way to quench your thirst with a milk.
Yeah, so even though there was all fizzy there, I've got like a chocolate oak.
What a great choice for a podcasting voice. Milk.
Milk. That's good.
Yeah, doesn't help with like any phlegm problems or anything. It just makes you go. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, it does make me burp, like it was making you hiccup earlier.
That's true. Yeah.
Mister, I'm going to finish my sentence with...
All right. Okay. It's. I've never had an IPA before. It hits different. All right.
Yeah, a hazy one too.
Yeah. Cooper's Hazy IPA.
Yeah. So, Bryce, here in Reggie's Rec Room, you've decided let's talk about Epic.
For about 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and Apple having a bit of dispute. I don't have any facts up in front of me.
No. So the question I suppose I'm going to pose for the next 10 minutes is, should games on Apple's store have special priority?
Right.
Because obviously this is a huge topic at the moment for Fortnite, and they've actually been very, very. They like to think that they're being freedom fighters, but the way that they've started this argument is under very selfish pretenses.
Absolutely.
And obviously Apple's got their rules, and it doesn't matter who puts an app on their store. They get like a 30% cut of revenue, and that's how it is. And that's fair to a degree. Obviously, it's quite a higher cut. It's like a Nintendo high level of cut.
Yeah. Well, all of the platform holders, every single one has a 30% cut that they take, except for Epic on the Epic Game Store, which is, about a 12% cut.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. And it's just like, just looking at it from the perspective of them attacking Apple the way they did, and considering the fact that, like, they want to make this a big freedom fight and try and get the community on their side, but the whole community is just kind of like, bruh, we don't give a shit. We just want to shoot and do epic dab dances, and
it's a bruh.
like they're targeting the wrong people for this. Like their age demographic of players is mostly children. They don't care. They just want to play Fortnite on their phone, which they're not going to be able to now, because they're basically like, hey, you broke the rules, you broke our terms of service. Bye.
Yeah. Well, until the next update with the next season rolling around, they can still play until then if they've got it downloaded. But when that next update goes live, then it will cut off all iOS devices from Fortnite. And like, listening to like other podcasts and reading up on it, I'm sort of torn on different aspects of it. So obviously there's like developers and they want a bigger cut from it all, and just ignoring Epic because Epic's they're huge. That they'll be fine regardless of any of this.
And that's why they're doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. So like a smaller developer, if you're like trying to keep the lights on, you're paying people, you've got a building you're paying rent on, and developing a game. You're looking after your family. You finally, after 2 years or so, you get the game out there. Then, even if it doesn't sell that well, with that 30% gone, that's a massive chunk of your revenue just already gone.
And I absolutely agree. But
yeah, but at the same time, like with say Apple or Nintendo, I feel like in this case, Apple has set up their ecosystem. They've locked it in, and with like a lot of apps on there. Like the piracy's right down as an example because it's it's locked down that much. People on iOS generally spend more money because of it's just I can't remember exactly why, but I think they just bring in a customer that's more equipped to paying money.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. With the way that they sell their hardware at the fucking prices that they do.
And just like on the Nintendo Switch side of things, like. Nintendo's getting 30% of every transaction made. And like they're the ones bringing customers to their ecosystem through their first party games, through making a device that people want to use. So for like the right to be on that storefront, it kind of is fair enough that they take it. Maybe you can argue whether it should be 30, should be 20, but it does make sense that they do take a transaction from a game sold on there.
I do want to make it very abundantly clear, and something that Epic seems to not understand at all, is that when they only take a 12% on their platform, I would like to very, very strongly mention the fact that they do not manage and run a full technology company that relies on this shit to 100% function. What they have is they have the equivalent to Steam in a software that manages games.
Yeah.
Right? So a 12% cut on that, probably fine, right? If you're not sitting out there, you're manufacturing hardware, pumping out all that money, like trying to make sure the times meet the ends, and you get to this point where you're manufacturing all year, and then all of a sudden people start dropping off and stop buying, and then all of a sudden you've got all this leftover stock, right, that you can't offload. There's going to be losses there somewhere, and then like you've got warranty returns if things ever go wrong and stuff like that, and that's what that stock sort of fills out. But there is a point like where they spend more money than what a software developer would, because at the end of the day, there's going to be a point where a software just eventually drops out, becomes all digital, and then at that point, there is no loss. If they don't sell a physical copy off a shelf, they're not losing much. So for Apple to sort of have their ecosystem, which they've got set up, it's already very securely in place. It keeps sort of everybody in the same loop, gives everybody the same rules. There's no special treatment. And then all of a sudden, you've got some apparently peanut brain executives that are just like, we don't want to pay that. We want more money out of our product. Well, here's the way they're looking at it. They're like, it's an honor for Fortnite to be on your platform.
Yeah.
It is like, it is not. We can discharge you and have no problem at all. Don't really care. See you later. Our sales are in hardware. We make money off of our software in order to fuel our hardware sales.
Yeah. Because like the main argument is that Apple are playing a monopoly, that there's only one place to buy anything on that hardware. And like we know that Google, you can sideload things and have different stores to buy stuff from. And I think like the argument of having different stores on the one device, it encourages, like we're saying on PC, it encourages competition, encourages cheaper prices, and it also encourages just these companies to have the consumer more in mind.
It does, but who the fuck uses any other storefront on mobile phones
Yeah, I don't know. But
Than
I
the
don't
Play
I don't personally use Google, so I don't know if you're side-loading different stores and that on there. But
I'm gonna put it straight to you, right? Like when you get a Samsung phone in this day and age, you get the Galaxy Store and you get the Play Store, like right out in the box, right? And Fortnite was Galaxy Store exclusive for God knows how long,
all right, yep.
right? And it's like, why? Why make it that much of a pain? Like everybody thought it. Why make it that much of a pain in the ass to get Fortnite on my phone? Why do I have to download an app that downloads an installer to install Fortnite on my phone instead of just going to the App Store and going install?
Yeah, and that's the thing with the App Store. Like, it's sort of because I quite like my Apple devices, so it just like negates a lot of that shit. You know, I quite like just having like the ecosystem being locked in, and that argument that, you know, they're playing the monopoly on Apple, they're also playing the monopoly on the Xbox, the PlayStation, the Switch. There's only one store to buy your things through.
That's exactly right.
Do your microtransactions. So yeah, I just feel like I get their point, but I feel like what these stores have done,
It's like they've been sitting at their PCs too long and forgot how consoles and other markets exist.
yeah,
Like the only reason they even created their storefront in the first place was so that they could collect revenue. So now they're basically saying, we want to collect revenue on your devices. Somebody's like, nah, not really, bro. Not really into that. You know, it's our devices. We want to cut if you're going to put your shit on here. And then they're like, okay, we'll respond in kind by making a cringy 1984 parody from your old ads anyway.
Yeah.
And play it in our game on the cinema screen in Risky Reels, I think it is, or whatever it is, and let a bunch of kids watch it and not fucking understand what exactly you're trying to portray here, because no kid is gonna know what the fuck that ad is.
Yeah, it's pretty old. You'd have to do your research. Yeah,
It's a really old ad.
it's before me.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And people are
I'm
just
26.
And people were looking at it, right, when it can't, like, because they were like, oh, you know, I don't know if they advertised it or anything. They just went to Risky Reels, and then all of a sudden it started playing, and people were just like, what? Like, they're literally turning their game into like a political source front.
Yeah.
And my God, that is just the epitome of like, what? Being on your high horse, I guess.
Yeah, and you know what? Epic, you know, they've, you know, I guess somewhat deserved the right to get on your high horse and try and shake up the industry in these different ways through their success. But maybe we can look at the Apple or even Nintendo, PlayStation, etc. Sort of percent, and maybe like with Epic's microtransactions on iOS, Fortnite's revenue, 30% of that revenue would be hundreds of millions of dollars.
Sure, it would be.
So maybe there can be like a point where it's like, all right, let's try and negotiate a lower percentage, because we're still making hundreds of millions of dollars through the App Store, but we can maybe halve it. So instead of being $500,000 a year, it's $250,000 a year, and you can sort of like reach some thing there. But to go this far, and even Apple's reacted in a really shitty way of just taking all the development kits for Mac and iOS devices away from Epic. So games running on the Unreal Engine will no longer be able to be updated on iOS or Mac, which is so now it's hurting the small guys. It's not hurting the big Fortnite Epic players. So if you're just an indie game creator who's using the Epic Unreal Engine, then you're just shit out of luck.
And like, I get that, but at the same time, looking at it from the perspective of just how, because what you said before is like they come down to a negotiation, and then they're like, you know, oh well, we make you a certain amount of this. Apparently, according to sources, they've already tried that, and they've just flat out said no.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And they're just like, everybody gets the same rules. It's fair that way. Just leave it how it is. We're not negotiating exclusive deals, because then all of a sudden we've got a bunch of contracts to keep up to date. Everybody was going to want exclusive deals. We have lots of software on our platform where they're going to be like, hey, well, if Fortnite's allowed to have it, why aren't we? And they're just like, no, we'll just leave it there. That's your cut. Take it.
We'll leave it there. We'll keep making a lot of money off you. That'd be good, thanks. Yeah.
they're going to make money anyway. Like, it doesn't matter what way you look at it. But by pulling this stunt, like, you could say that, Apple not coming to an agreement with them is going to harm heaps of developers. But at the same time, Epic could have also not have pulled this stunt and forced this absolute legal drama. They could have done more talking. They could have just let it fly and let it go because they're already earning a shit ton of money off Fortnite anyway, right? That Apple is not the only platform that they're earning money off of when it comes to Fortnite. There is literally Android, Switch, PS4, Xbox, PC. 5 more platforms they're earning money off of. Surely it's not that big of a deal if they just pay the 30% cut and just leave it be.
Yeah.
Right? They have a monopoly of themselves at the moment. And they're going to continue to have a monopoly as long as Fortnite is a relevant thing, which is obviously not going away. So why make all this drama and then bring your player base into it by doing some sort of shitty media campaign like that? Because, like, a lot of people would look at that, right? And seeing a kid do that, like, look at that, a lot of people would call that corporate brainwashing.
It pretty much is, because if Epic, like, they get the fans rallied up, it somehow makes Epic win. Epic gets what they want. Congratulations, Epic's making more money now. What does the person that's fighting for Epic going free Fortnite? What does they get? What do they get? Nothing.
No, fuck all.
They get nothing.
Well, okay. The only thing that they apparently will get is that they've got a permanent drop in V-Bucks prices.
Ooh, yeah,
right.
But what that is they're dropping it because they're no longer paying the 30% because it's going through their own store, but it's also a 20% drop. So they're still just pushing people to still get a 10%.
That's exactly
bonus.
right. Yeah.
Like, it's not hard to figure out. They're like, yeah, buy it here, we'll make 10% more. They're not saying buy it here, you'll save money.
But then at the same time, why is it up to the consumer to shirt front that cost? You know, why is it up to them to shirt front the fact that Apple has a 30% cut? Shouldn't be up to them.
And PlayStation and Xbox and like
Xbox, yeah, that's right.
And Google, like everywhere has it. And I am sort of cut on the situation. It's like, oh, this would be good for developers making, like, small developers making games. It'll be good for, like, the bigger places. But at the same time, through what Apple has done with their ecosystem, I like that it's sort of just them managing it. That yet, like, on iOS, you don't have to worry so much about viruses as much. You don't have to worry about what stuff's loading onto your phone because it's all through the App Store. It's all being monitored and all that. So, don't know. I don't really want to see side loading and that come to iOS. And I know a lot of people will be like, no, that's why I don't like iOS, and that's why I personally use an Android phone. But that's how I feel as an Apple consumer.
Yeah, which is fair enough. And I'm not much of an Apple consumer. I'm very on and off depending on, like, what is decent at the time when it comes to mobile devices. So, like, some years I'll own an iPhone, then next I'll be like, I'll just go to Android because I want to do this and this and this. And then, like, obviously I bought my iPad because it's probably the best thing I can do for, artistic work at the moment.
Oh, there goes the IPA that you're burping. See, you should have had a chocolate oak like Drew.
Yeah, no thanks. Won't go good with the mucus. Anyway, here's my point, I guess, is at the end of the day, like, trying to militarize your fan base to fight for your cause so you can earn more money is pretty dickish. If a company has told you everybody gets the same rules, you don't need exemption. And by extent, you shouldn't be cracking the shits because you didn't get exemption, because that's exactly why they've done it. They're like, well, if you're not going to give us our 15% extra, then we will run a campaign against you and mobilize our army of children to hashtag free Fortnite and make you look like the bad guy. But Apple's just responded in kind, and they're just like, bye then. They're just like, honestly, no, we don't need you.
Yeah. Could you imagine if Nintendo or PlayStation did that? Be like, all right, free Nintendo for whatever that reason might be. They rally up their fan base to go and attack another company.
Well, that's right.
That would be pretty awful. And it's
Shocking.
no different for Epic. I guess that, like, the only thing with Epic is they are the only probably game company on iOS that can do this. Like no other company can like make a stand against the man type of thing to try and get some change in revenue.
But you're talking about 6 different men here, and you're only attacking one of them. What is this going to change realistically? That Apple do have side loading on their devices, right? So that they can have their own market on there, and then you do have to go through the same shitty thing that you've already been doing on Android that people are already pissed off with and really don't like doing. Like, who cares? At that point, why?
Like, can you, if you have your PC, can you go to the Epic Game Store, load up your currency, then jump onto your account on iOS? I feel that's the thing you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I don't know. People are better off doing that, probably. I don't know. I'm not. It's kind of hard because I'm not a Fortnite player at all, and I don't interact with the community or any of this. But it's just a real shitty situation for everyone.
If you don't want to support Apple, you don't have to. You know, if you don't want to support Apple and you want to make your voices heard, you literally do not have to spend a single pinch of money on there at all. If you want to fight this cause, and if Epic wanted to fight this cause, you could just lower the prices on the Epic Store and say you get a special price if you shop it on the Epic Store.
Yeah.
And people can just install Fortnite to their computers. They can just go, like, even if their computer doesn't run it well enough, they can just go to their shop, buy their V-Bucks there, buy what they want, log off, and go back to their iPhone. So why the fuck was there a point?
I did find it funny how like, Spotify replied, being like, yes, we're fighting alongside of you. But it was only like a few years ago where Spotify wasn't paying its artists properly, and Taylor Swift made a stand against Spotify for like, you know, a pretty similar reason. Be like, hey, I'm one of the biggest names in music. I'm the only person who can stand up and take my stuff up in protest. You got to pay the smaller guys, because if you guys didn't pay me when I was small, there would be no Taylor Swift today probably. No. And what Epic's doing, they're trying to put it in the same light as that, being like, hey, we're standing up for the smaller guys, because like, you know, the next say Untitled Goose Game or something might be in the works right now, and they won't get the funding to make the next game. And you can see it as that, and I think there is some merit to that, but it's definitely, you know, Tim Sweeney, the top people at Epic being like, yeah, that's some money that's not in our bank account. And when you're running a major corporation like that, you know, it's even fair enough. Like, being capitalist, you know, that's what companies are. That's what drives new inventions and, you know, the drive to make good products. So I don't know. It is a complicated sort of thing, but definitely with the fan base, don't get your fan base involved in it.
No, it's not their fight. And like doing it to the extent that they did in their game was just horrendous, honestly. And I don't think enough people give a shit about it. I think they all just looked at it and they're just like,
lol.
Okay, don't get it, bye, and then moved on. You know? And it doesn't matter.
Oh, Jesus,
coronavirus.
Oh God, you just sneezed it all over me too.
Coming down to the point, like, if everybody's going to say, like, pay the same price, and if you're going to be like, oh well, the only person that can make a stand is somebody big to do this, doing it in the way that they've done it is really scummy and is going to hurt developers because of their ego. You know, like I said, it's not really Apple's fault. They've got to take legal action against this if they're going to be, you know, doing anything against their TOS. Otherwise, they immediately break any, you know, patents or whatever they have around the issue. They immediately forfeit things like that because they haven't gone through court and made legal exceptions and all that shit. So they have to uphold what they've already put through in their terms and conditions. And then, you know, they've got to go through all the proper legal channels. So, you know, saying that that this is Apple's fault when they've literally given them no grounds whatsoever to have a saving argument, and then if they've taken their dev kits and all that shit away from Epic and for the Unreal Engine and shit like that, it has basically just been Fortnite's very shitty attitude taking these resources away and by extension hurting smaller developers. So in what they said they were trying to accomplish, they've inevitably hurt people more.
Yeah.
all because they couldn't keep their mouth shut and do the proper thing.
Yeah, well, especially with Apple's pretty shitty decision to revoke the developer rights to iOS. That's going to be huge for a lot of people using that technology. But I think it's going to be a thing. Like, a lot of people are going to be listening to this and have very different opinions for whatever reason, whether they side with either side or they just disagree with whatever we said. So I'm interested to sort of having this as an ongoing discussion about, even on the Nintendo side of things, whether it's the 30% they're getting or even back to the mobile side of things with Fortnite. Keen to see what you guys say, whether you leave it on Twitter or emails at Drew@thehouseofmario. But
That's right.
yeah. Well, Bryce, I think we'll leave it there. It's been a fun episode, man.
Yeah.
Has
Yeah.
been.
Has for sure.
Yeah. So, everybody, thank you very much for listening to the House of Mario episode 156. If you enjoy the show, be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, because we do not have a monopoly on Apple Podcasts.
No, we are not fighting for our 30%.
No, have 30% on Apple Podcasts. That's literally nothing. So if you'd like to talk to us, you can tweet me at iDrewby, the show at the House of Mario, or Bryce at IVRevan. And I like that's you. That's not anyone else in this room.
No, it's definitely me.
Yeah. And I'd like to thank our Patreon producers. We have Luke, Sam, and DJ. Thank you guys very much for supporting us over there. Very much appreciated. And also, if you want to join our community, you can get involved in the House of Mario Discord. There's a link in the show notes in your podcast app or on YouTube. Yeah. Bro, shut up. So this week's Nintendo Jukebox is the Bob-omb Battlefield from Super Mario 64, and it's by the 8-Bit Big Band, and it is the theme song for the House of Mario Encore that I use each week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just like to put these guys in your spotlight. Go over, check them out. They do really awesome orchestral music of Nintendo music and also other retro stuff as well. And they actually did a cover of Lifelight with over 100 people via Skype when the coronavirus pandemic was like just starting off. So it was a really, really heartwarming thing. So go and check out their YouTube and everything. Really nice.
Yeah.
So guys, until next week, the doors to the House of Mario are closed. Catch you later.
Bye.
I fight for my friends.